they're getting more of these breadcrumbs and sort of following where they go. And now it seems when it comes to the IRS, they were indeed tracking conservatives. That is not really the Fox News alert here. Here's what is, that more were just sort of calling the shots for the IRS to do just that, including emails now pointing to Democratic Senator Carl Levin pressuring the IRS to target these type of groups. Now, ostensibly, it was because he saw many, many of these applications out there and that they really warranted another look. But do our all-stars think that this could be a smoking gun to John Layfield and Mattie Duppler and Tracy Burns? Mattie, what do you think?
Well, I think that there are a lot of moving parts here, but the problem is twofold. One is that we have a member of Congress essentially directing the IRS to not only target a group, but to do what he's saying, which is a complete breach of what we like to think of as the separation of powers.
But is that unusual to go ahead and, Tracy, in this case, say, look, I'm seeing a lot of these groups trying to get tax-exempt status. They all seem to be conservative. They all seem to be Tea Party. Is that in and of itself wrong, or is it more just unusual?
No, I think it's wrong all around. And I think so this is a perfect example of why millennials don't trust anything, because you have all this backdoor stuff going on all the time. The IRS, unfortunately, is the victim. And I'm the only one on the planet that defends the IRS, but they're just told what to do. And they get demonized all the time for it. And they sit there like slugs and say, sure.
Know when they shouldn't be doing that.
But that's an important point to make. This is...
Oh, I make many.
But, Neil, you're so good. I'm just going to go with what you're saying. But this is not an IRS job to make the distinction, to make the definitions. FEC tells the IRS is just supposed to be investigating and making sure the rules are being upheld. This seems to go beyond that.
The IRS is like the perfect child. It listens to what you're told.
Yeah, but that would be like telling your child, I want you to go kill some people.
Oh, my.
All right, now, you're weighing in on Twitter on this. I want to get Layfield's reaction to Paul saying this, that the Democrats wouldn't be trying so hard to kill the investigation if they themselves weren't involved. Jeff asks, how is it any worse than the Watergate break-in? What do you think of that, Layfield?
I don't know about the severity of this, comparing this to Watergate. I think this has been done for decades by politicians in power, and I think these conservative groups were targeted. The reason that the Democrats have been allowed to stonewall this is because these politicians turned this into a 3-week circus. They get into these hearings, start yelling at each other, and forget about the fact they need to get Lois Lerner under oth and find out exactly what happened. These are very serious.
Do that. And there's not enough outrage out there because who the targeted parties are. Believe me, Tracy, if they were liberals or groups that are friendly to the mainstream media, it would be a very different story. But this is going to go nowhere.
No, and the spin makes it sound very complicated, and it blows over people's heads, and they're like, you know what, I'm too worried about getting food on the table. I can't deal with this.
I think you're right.
And then it just keeps going, and they'll continue to get away with stuff like this.
What's scary, something you brought up at the outset here, this is really a big old agency at the behest of powerful Democratic senators, in one case here, using the full weight and resources of the United States government to go after groups that you don't like.
Well, and to Tracy's point, families are concerned about putting food on the table. They're concerned about running their businesses. They're not concerned about what's going on in Washington until all of a sudden it threatens their financial stability. It threatens their ability to keep their businesses open, to keep their families what they feel is safe, because all of a sudden they're a target of the government for the reason no other than they want to exercise their First Amendment.
Because I have very little faith that it will.
I have little faith as well, but I hope that it does.
All right. By the way, all nasty questions concerning the IRS came from Tracy Burns, not me. All right.